All right, good morning. My name is Dan Friedman. I'm a data center technical solutions architect with Cisco. I support partners in the Pacific Northwest of the United States. And this presentation is intended to introduce FSO, which stands for Full Stack Observability. The presentation is suitable for business and technical audiences, so we're going to go ahead and get started. From an agenda perspective, we'll talk about what is FSO and why we need FSO. We'll talk about some products that are related to the FSO initiative, as well as different use cases, and then we'll wrap up by pointing you at some additional resources. In terms of what is FSO, full stack observability is a pretty fancy or catchy marketing phrase, but what does it really mean? It's a good question, and we're going to answer it by trying to break down the lingo into its component parts in order to arrive at a clear explanation of what FSO really is. So I'm going to start with the word stack. Stack refers to the reality that multiple individual technical elements or technology solutions are brought together to deliver applications to users. What are those individual technical elements? Well, you've got network connectivity, you've got storage repository for your data, you've got compute processing power, you've got hypervisor virtualization, you've got VMs or containers based architectures for running your applications, you've got your frameworks and dependencies that your applications depend on within those VMs and containers, and so on. Each individual element has a different role to play and therefore provides a unique type of functionality and value to the entire system. So now let's talk about the word full. This word pulls us away from the perspective of the individual technical elements and instead looks at this from the perspective of the whole assembly. When the individual technical elements are combined or brought together, their collective capabilities create what we refer to as a system or a platform for delivering applications. So in essence, we can replace the words full stack with the single word system or platform. Now, finally, the word observability. Before we can address observability, we first have to understand how this is different from monitoring. A lot of people think that observability is just a new fancy word for monitoring, that they mean the same thing, but they actually don't. Monitoring is supposed to answer the question, what is broken? And this takes the perspective and intention of trying to understand the overall health of the system. Is it up? Is it down? Is the storage array running out of capacity, etc.? Observability, though, is supposed to answer the question, why is something broken? Which takes a perspective and intention of trying to debug a system failure and understand the downstream impacts. This naturally requires a whole other level of granularity, data collection, analysis, correlation, in order to arrive at conclusions about why a system is down. So why did the storage array run out of capacity? Did hardware fail? Did one or multiple disks fail? How many virtual machines were impacted? Was it a software failure? Was compression ineffective, and why? Was deduplication ineffective, and why? Did we create too many snapshots too quickly? Did we retain too many snapshots for too long? Obviously, you can see that these questions being asked have answers that vary widely based on circumstance. So the goal is to fully understand present circumstance so you can rectify any problems quickly. So then, my translation of what I think full stack observability really means is this. It's understanding the circumstances of your problems at a deep enough level across all of your system components to be able to debug and fix your problems quickly. That is the essence of full stack observability. That's really the end goal. Now, on the slide, you see VIA. It's a kind of a common internal phrase that we hear in conversations aligned to FSO on a pretty regular basis. And VIA stands for Visibility, Insights, and Action. The goal of FSO is to provide visibility and insights so that you can take action. Visibility is mostly about inventory. It's about being able to collect data from all of the components of your system or your platform, or from, quote, all layers of your stack. Insights is really about circumstances. It's being able to understand what the collected data is telling you about your specific circumstances with a high degree of accuracy, i.e., why you're having a problem. Now, keep in mind that the more data you can collect, the more accurate your perspective on your circumstances will be. Also keep in mind that an important element of insights isn't just about having hordes of data, but understanding the relationships between the elements of data. In other words, event correlation. Finally, action is about modification. It's about being able to make appropriate modifications to rectify a problem based on a deep understanding of the problem. So to sort of wrap up, this slide in terms of what FSO really is, it is not a product. It's a need. It's, again, about understanding the circumstances of your problems at a deep enough level across all your system components to be able to debug and fix your problems quickly. And that involves a level of data collection, analysis, and correlation that is typically beyond human scale to achieve. So since FSO isn't a product but an idea, we still need products to help us deliver the idea. What products do we have that can help us address this need? And Cisco has several products across several different domains that help address this need at different layers of your systems. And the aim of this presentation is to help break that down and make it clear so that you can sell one or more of these products based on what aligns best to your customer needs. So in the slide, in green, you can see the different domains. And I sort of think of this at a very high level, synonymous to like the OSI layers, right? So layer 1 through layer 7, layer 1 kind of being at the top of my bulleted list here, infrastructure, layer 7 being at the bottom of the list, applications, and layer 3 and layer 4, right, are kind of in the middle with network. And the specific products that align at those different layers are listed in orange. So Intersight actually has a lot of capabilities. It's not just about infrastructure. There's a lot of automation and orchestration capabilities within that product. But out of the 3 products seen here, Intersight is most or best aligned to infrastructure management, right? And visibility and insights. And that's because it's responsible for managing UCS and Hyperflex hardware. And in addition to that, we can also integrate Intersight with third-party storage arrays, hypervisors, etc. So we can get, there's a common phrase, right? You can't manage what you can't see. And so again, infrastructure or visibility, these things are mostly about inventory, being able to see and visualize everything within your systems across the different layers so you can monitor for, performance and capacity and compliance and software compatibility, and all of those things are handled at an infrastructure layer. At the network layer, and to some degree the application layer, we have Thousand Eyes. Thousand Eyes uses synthetic testing to help validate our network connectivity, our DNS resolution, content delivery network, caching at an application level, and even has some synthetic tests that allow us to validate that the HTTP server is returning data, seeing which elements on a page are coming from a CDN, which elements on a page have high load times, etc. So Thousand Eyes is primarily focused on the network, but does have some ability to monitor application performance as well. Now, App Dynamics is listed next to applications because this is really really deeply focused on the applications, all the way down to a code level. So this isn't about making sure that the application is performing as it is in Thousand Eyes. This is more about making sure that the application is written correctly, that it's secure, that it's optimized, all of those types of things. So these three products, Intersight, Thousand Eyes, and App Dynamics, cover the different domains, infrastructure, network, and applications, or layers of observability that we need to understand our entire system, all of its components, so that we can troubleshoot problems. This is how we deliver FSO. So, at a super high level, won't spend a lot of time on this slide. Why do we need FSO? The very top line there summarizes it: to fix problems. And in order to do that, we need to understand our circumstances deeply, right? Understand our circumstances, because there's a lot of factors that play into any given problem. Some problems are simple, right? Some problems are very complicated, and some problems have what appears to be a single problem is actually manifested as multiple problems happening at the same time. So unless we deeply understand our exact circumstances, then it's pretty hopeless to troubleshoot those types of problems quickly. All right, so typical functions that help us understand our circumstances include dashboarding, which typically reports on near real-time data. Reporting, which can report on real-time data, but usually is based on historical data and used to establish trends. We've got alerting, which are notifications that can go out to email or instant messaging or ticketing systems. Typically, those are more real-time alerts. We've got insights. So again, this is about collecting, analyzing, and correlating data in a way that provides intelligence, right? It provides us an understanding of what's going on. And finally, correlation, right? And as I sort of alluded to when I was mentioning Thousand Eyes, there's a big need to correlate the events that are happening with a network and an application at the time when a user experiences a problem, quote, big air quotes, with the application. Is it the application that's having a problem? Is it at a code level? Is it at an application delivery or server compute level? Is it a dependency problem? Or is the problem really not the application at all, but something on the underlying network that's preventing the user from having a good application experience? So, there's a need to sort of correlate what's going on at the network and application layers in order to quickly troubleshoot the user experience with applications. And then, what's the goal? What's the goal of FSO? And really it boils down to the results that we're looking for from all of the dashboarding, reporting, alerting, insights, correlation efforts. And those results are to decrease the mean time to resolution for problems, being able to hold our service providers accountable to the SLAs that they've given us, or get financial compensation when they can't. And then obviously the ultimate goal here, right, is to ensure premium end user experience. Now, this provides just a little bit deeper level or view into what each of these products offer. So again, Intersight is aligned mostly to infrastructure. I'll start at the top with network. So in terms of Intersight's network inventory or infrastructure management capabilities, it does have integrations with Nexus Dashboard. Nexus Dashboard has visibility into both on-prem ACI or NXOS networks, either using Nexus Dashboard Orchestrator or NDFC or DCNM and those types of products. So we can see a full inventory of the network and understand performance problems that are happening there, software levels, firmware levels that are running across the fabric, etc., and kind of help you with your visibility and management of the network in that way. Storage, as I mentioned, we do third-party integration with Pure, NetApp, Hitachi, and I think EMC is either on the roadmap or it may already be here. I have to follow up and double check on that. I mentioned earlier that with compute, Intersight has a service called Intersight Infrastructure Services, IIS, and that is the component of Intersight that's responsible for managing UCS and HyperFlex hardware. Also, sort of on the compute side, we have the IVS, Intersight Virtualization Service, which is responsible for managing our virtual machine workloads. And then when we talk about hypervisor or container platform, where we're delivering applications via containers rather than VMs, there's a number of components within Intersight that provide the container platform. Number one is IKS. This is the Intersight Kubernetes service, which is really the container platform itself. That service depends on a hypervisor, and there's two options. You can use IWE, which is Intersight Workload Engine. This is a free hypervisor from Cisco, or you can use VMware ESXi hypervisor. And then you have SMM, which is the Service Mesh Manager. And, this allows you to, how do I say this? It allows you to manage traffic to and from your container workloads. It allows you to manage traffic between your container workloads, including things like security with mutual TLS, etc. And then you also have VM and container optimization through IWO, which stands for Intersight Workload Optimizer. So the main idea that I'm trying to convey here, again, right, we said that Intersight is closely aligned to infrastructure management. We can see that in the first 3 bullet points, network storage and compute, but it also has a lot of other capabilities related to provisioning and managing VMs, provisioning and managing container platforms where you're going to run your container-based applications, and then optimizing both the VM and container-based applications using IWO. So there's a lot of different capabilities inside of Intersight. Moving forward to ThousandEyes, if we try to break down ThousandEyes at a high level, it uses what we refer to as agents, and these are bits of software installed in different locations. There's 3 different types of agents that we have within this product. We have enterprise agents, cloud agents, and endpoint agents. Enterprise agents typically don't run on an endpoint, but they run within, within a data center, within a campus network, on a device that is proximal or close to the end user. And by doing this, we are able to run synthetic tests on behalf of many endpoints that exist within that physical location as they communicate outbound to, let's say, a SaaS service or a cloud service provider or an external, site of some kind, maybe with a bank website or other site that's hosted externally. And these are installed and managed by the partner or the end customer. The cloud agents are installed kind of all over the internet, and these are installed and managed by Cisco, in particular by Cisco's ThousandEyes business unit, and they're installed within our ISPs and our cable network providers, and these provide, they're sort of like a virtual remote user, right, outside of your data center, your campus networks, your branch locations, and therefore allow you to run synthetic tests that simulate external users communicating inbound to your services that you're hosting in your data center. And then finally, endpoint agents. These are software that are installed directly onto an end user laptop. The reason being, we cannot, a lot of times we get calls. I'm gonna skip forward here to the second bullet point under Thousand Eyes that says, cloud service providers are like our new data centers. The internet's like our new network, and SaaS is kind of like our new application layer. So going back to endpoint agents, if you've got a user that calls you and says, hey, I'm working from home and I'm trying to update a presentation on Office 365 over the internet, you don't own the network at the home location. You don't own the network or internet that gets them to the SaaS application that's running in the cloud. You don't own the application itself. So how do you know where the problem is happening? But you're still the one who gets the phone call. So the idea here is that we can help desk can install an endpoint agent, and the endpoint agent, because it's installed directly on the laptop, can use operating system level commands to understand local network connectivity. Can you reach your DNS? Can you ping your gateway? How many hops is it out to the internet? Are you connected via wired and wireless, etc.? So it kind of gives us the visibility into that last mile of troubleshooting. Now, I mentioned that Thousand Eyes uses synthetic tests. Some of these tests are performed at a network layer. Some of these tests are performed closer to an application layer. And then all of this is really geared towards understanding the end user experience, whether that's coming directly from an end user laptop or it's simulated based on their approximate location in a network. That's where you choose the appropriate type of agent to use for your synthetic tests. Let it be known that for endpoint agents, there's limited number of tests that you can run. And I think it's just a network test and an HTTP server test. With enterprise and cloud, there's agents. You get all of the test capabilities across network and application, where application, it's HTTP server, page load, and transaction tests. Finally, app dynamics. Again, this is aligned to deep applications, right? This is applications at a code level. Are they written properly? Is the code dry, meaning do not repeat yourself? Are there functions or lines of code that are repeated many times? Is the code secure? Is it performant, etc. Right? So this is where App Dynamics can take things to a new level in terms of optimizing, understanding your applications. And when we think about VM-based versus microservices-based applications. In a VM-based environment, all the application components live on the same virtual machine. And those components speak to each other over local remote procedure call type protocol, right? Whereas with microservices-based applications, you've got multiple different components of an application that are now running on different let's say Kubernetes cluster nodes, and they communicate with each other over a network. So App Dynamics also has the ability to understand what are all the different microservices components of your applications, how are they communicating, what does the performance between those components look like, what ports are being used, etc. So this really allows you to deeply understand your network connectivity in a visual fashion that helps you understand capacity, performance, what's happening across the multiple different streams of communications that are happening amongst the different containers or microservices that are collectively delivering your application. So App Dynamics is a very powerful product. Okay, adjacent products, right? Now, I want to mention this because I'm going to go back a slide. All of these software, Intersight, Thousand Eyes, and App Dynamics are all software solutions. But they're not the only software solutions that Cisco offers. They're just the ones that are tied directly to the FSO initiative, Full Stack Observability. Now, there's another software product called Nexus Dashboard, and this is very focused on network provisioning and visibility. So we do provide, I guess, if we're thinking back to FSO and the acronym VIA, Visibility, Insights, and Action, we do provide visibility, but we're not just doing observability within Nexus Dashboard. We're also using Nexus Dashboard for provisioning our networks and monitoring our networks in terms of the traffic types that are forwarding over them, etc. So Nexus Dashboard is essentially a clustered, horizontally scalable platform for running multiple different provisioning and visibility applications for your network. And those applications are summarized under the Nexus Dashboard bullet points. So we've got NDO, which stands for Nexus Dashboard Orchestrator. And this is this used to formerly be called Multi-Site Orchestrator, which was strictly for Cisco ACI. However, NDO is no longer just for ACI. It is also capable of managing multi-site VXLAN EVPN fabrics. And so you kind of have two choices here, right? You can run an ACI on-prem network, or you can run an NXOS-based on-prem network. And if you want to run an NXOS-based on-prem network and you want to do a two-tier topology, spine leaf topology like you would achieve in ACI, then you can run VXLAN EVPN fabrics. And so Nexus Dashboard Orchestrator allows you to establish multi-site between multiple ACI fabrics or between multiple NXOS-based VXLAN EVPN fabrics. Next, we've got Nexus Dashboard Insights, or NDI, and this is formerly NAE, NIR, and NIA products kind of all combined into one. And Nexus Dashboard Insights is focused on providing network assurance, visibility, and insights for all of your network fabrics. And then next we've got NDDB, which stands for Nexus Dashboard Data Broker. And the idea here is that the idea behind Nexus Dashboard Data Broker is to form a data broker network. So think of this as a network attached to your production network. And the idea of the data broker network is to capture traffic into this dedicated tap or span network. So you're making copies of traffic off your production network, and then you're able to filter the traffic that you've copied into this dedicated tap span network, and then forward, so copy, filter, and forward data to multiple data processing tools. So this is a data broker network. It's not a data processing network, right? So it's a destination to capture traffic into, copy it, filter it, and then forward it on to multiple different applications that then process the data in whatever way necessary. So that could be like a traffic sniffer, for example. The second function of Nexus Dashboard Data Broker is to act as an inline redirect. So if you think of this as being at the perimeter of your network, right? If you think of your perimeter firewalls and your internet routers, this could be a dedicated network that is installed between the firewalls and the routers, so kind of at your layer 2 or layer 3 switching layer, and then receive traffic and redirect it for serial processing through multiple different systems. So these can be things like IDS and IPS type systems, which would potentially make drop decisions on the traffic based on policy or threat detection, etc. So again, Nexus Dashboard Data Broker can be used to copy, filter, and forward traffic to multiple data processing tools from your production network, or it can be used to provide an inline network that then redirects traffic through other platforms for policy decisions or threat detection, typically used at your network perimeter. And then finally, NDFC, which stands for Nexus Dashboard Fabric Controller. This is the renamed or rebranded DCNM, which you may be familiar with. DCNM, again, is the former name for the product that managed all NXOS and MDS hardware. Now, with regards to NXOS, this is the tool that can be used to provision those networks with VXLAN, EVPN configurations based on your two-tier topology. And it also has a LAN controller, aka fabric controller. There's also a SAN controller aspect to the product. And there's also an IP fabric for media aspect to the product. And this is typically used for setting up networks or managing networks that are used for broadcast television, a lot of video and audio content. So that's what IPFM is for. So typically when you hear NDFC, the way my mind works is it jumps to thinking that it's a single product. But again, it has many capabilities across NXOS and MDS hardware, across LAN and SAN. Now, Fabric Controller has been divided up into Fabric Discovery, which doesn't really do any provisioning. It's about inventory and visibility. But the Fabric Controller does the inventory visibility as well as the provisioning. And then SAN Controller does visibility and provisioning for your SAN MDS-based hardware. So just wanted you to be aware of what Nexus Dashboard is. It's a platform for running multiple provisioning and visibility applications that cover your network infrastructure across multiple sites. And Nexus Dashboard is going to become, to some degree, integrated with Intersight, which is part of our FSO initiative. So I thought it was important to just bring up this adjacent product. It's not directly part of the FSO initiative today, but there's roadmap with these products that sort of bring them under the same fold. All right, so in terms of FSO use cases or product use cases, if you need to simplify infrastructure management across multiple sites, those sites being being physical, meaning on-prem, and virtual, meaning cloud service provider. Also, physical and virtual, referring to physical and virtual hardware. If you need to simplify management of VM and container-based, and you need to consolidate visibility within a single tool and leveraging a high degree of automation, then these goals are going to point you to selling and discussing an Intersight product with your customers. If you have a need to monitor, troubleshoot, and understand end user experience for any user, any application, any location, any time, then you're really going to be looking mostly at ThousandEyes to run synthetic tests at your network and application layer to understand what your user is experiencing. If you need to understand your application architecture to more effectively troubleshoot, optimize, and secure your applications at a code level, then you're really going to want to be discussing app dynamics with your customers. So hopefully this simplifies the whole idea behind FSO, helps you understand the products that are under the quote FSO umbrella. Remember, FSO is not a product, it's an idea, but we still need products to deliver the ideas. These are those use cases, these are those products, and how you can deliver a simple message to your customers about what those products are, what they cover, what they do, and you don't have to purchase all products or even all capabilities under each product, right? We said Intersight has a lot of capabilities. Intersight is a microservices-based application, and you only purchase the components that you need. ThousandEyes, you only purchase the capabilities that you need. If you need inbound synthetic testing, you need to purchase cloud agents. If you need outbound synthetic testing, you need to purchase enterprise agents. If you need to understand the exact end user connectivity, you need the endpoint agent. There's also internet visibility service that helps you understand outages on the global internet and how these might be impacting your users in terms of accessing their applications. So there's different ways to purchase Thousand Eyes, and then App Dynamics is similar as well. All right, in terms of resources, I'm just going to point you to the main sites for each of these 3 applications that are under the FSO umbrella. We've got innersight.com. You can sign up for an account, and you can, the base level of Innersight is free and can be used to manage your UCS and HyperFlex hardware, anything that you have on-prem today. ThousandEyes.com, again, its own site. You can sign up with an account. You can run a trial. And this is the SaaS management platform where you would log in and you would essentially configure the synthetic tests that you want to push onto agents that live in the cloud or on-prem or an endpoint, etc. So all of your policy is managed from this cloud-based management platform, and then pushed down and run on agents that live wherever they need to live. Your tests can be configured to use specific agents in specific locations. And then appdynamics.com for App Dynamics. So hopefully this presentation was useful and helps you understand what the term FSO, full stack observability, really means. Again, it's a need, not a product, but we do need products to deliver the needs, and those products are Intersight, Thousand Eyes, and App Dynamics. If you've got any questions, feel free to reach out to me. Again, my name is Dan Friedman. I'm a data center TSA at Cisco. Thanks for watching.